Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Wednesday, November 7th, 2018, and I'm Kylee Newman. Election in Erath County, the punishment for a man convicted in a strangulation death, and missing migrants are just some of today's top stories. In campus news, according to the Flash today, Tarleton State's Rodeo Hall of Fame inducted 3 new members this past Saturday at its 9th annual steak dinner and auction held at the Twisted J. The new members include Bradley Harder, Kim Todd Hodge, and Tommy Houston. Each were honored with a bronze medallion. They are joining 34 other Rodeo Hall of Famers that include former Tarleton team members, coaches, and program supporters. In local news, according to the Erath County unofficial results, 12,623 Erath County residents cast their ballots in the election on Tuesday. Texas News reporters Felicia Cawley and Ashley Willits were able to talk to voters about why they turned out to vote. Erath County resident Donna Wallace said, quote, I vote to get the right people in there. I do try to listen to what each of them says, end quote. Voters listened to the candidates and made their voices heard. According to the Office of the Texas Secretary of State and the Erath County unofficial results, in the Texas race for U.S. Senate, Ted Cruz defeated Democratic candidate Beto O'Rourke with 51% of the vote statewide and by a 4-to-1 margin in Erath County. Republicans also took the U.S. Representative District 11 and District 25 seats. In District 11, Mike Conaway beat Democratic candidate Jenny Lou Leader with an 80% of the vote, statewide in a 5-to-1 ratio in Erath County. In District 25, Roger Williams beat Julie Oliver with a 53% of the vote, statewide in a 4-to-1 ratio in Erath County. In the race for governor, incumbent Greg Abbott defeated Lupe Valdez with 55% of the vote statewide and a 4-to-1 ratio in Erath County. Finally, Republican candidate Sid Miller beat the Democratic candidate Kim Olson with 51% of the vote statewide and more than 3-to-1 average in Erath County. And now today's Texas, national, and international news from the Associated Press. The punishment phase is beginning for a man convicted in the strangulation death of a man who he and his wife, a sheriff's deputy, confronted outside of a Houston area restaurant. Terry Thompson was convicted Monday of killing a 24-year-old John Hernandez in May 2017. Prosecutors say Thompson kept Hernandez in a chokehold even after he stopped resisting. Thompson's attorneys argued that Thompson acted in self-defense after being punched in the face and insisted he kept Hernandez subdued only until he stopped resisting. Thompson faces life in prison. For national and international news, we now turn to the AP News Minute.
This is AP News Minute. Democrats have won a majority in the House of Representatives in the midterm elections. Republicans held on to the Senate. The White House called it a victory for President Trump. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz was reelected in one of the most closely watched races. He held off a stiff challenge from Democrat Beto O'Rourke. Republican Ron DeSantis beat Democrat Andrew Gillum in the race for Florida governor. Florida's Senate race went through the night too close to call. The race for Georgia governor went into the morning without a winner. Republican Brian Kemp and Democrat Stacey Abrams both said there are still votes to be counted. Rita Foley, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
In more international news, Spanish rescue workers combed the seas and shores of southern Spain on Tuesday, searching for 17 missing migrants, a day after finding the bodies of 17 other migrants who died trying to cross the Mediterranean in boats departing from North Africa. The UN says over 2,160 people have died trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe this year. In sports, tomorrow Tarleton's women's volleyball team will play Eastern New Mexico. The game begins at 7:30 p.m. in Wisdom Gym Friday. Both men and women's basketball games will be held in the Wisdom Gym. The women's games start at 5 versus Rogers State. The men's games start at 7 p.m. versus UC Colorado Springs. There will also be a men and women's basketball games on Saturday held in Wisdom Gym. Women's games begin at 5 p.m. versus St. Mary's. Men's game begin at 7 p.m. versus the University of Southwest. Tarleton will be also hosting its annual Military Appreciation football game versus Western New Mexico at 2 p.m. Tours will also be held from 11 to 1:30 p.m. for those who would like a preview of Memorial Stadium renovations before construction is complete. We will now turn to Felicia Kylee for today's weather.
Today's weather is overcast with a high of 64 and a low of 48. There will be 40% chances of rain and with winds 5 to 10 miles per hour.
This has been a production of Texan TV News, a product of the Texan News Service from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas. Watch us live on Apogee Channel 2.1 in the dorms at 12:30 weekdays. If you live off campus, tune in on Northland Cable Channel 9. You can follow the Texan News Service on Facebook and Twitter and check out our website at www.texannews.net for all of your latest local, state, national, and international news. Today's broadcast was produced by Ashley Willits, Felicia Kylee, and Riley Pruitt. Have a wonderful day, Texans.